Hello everyone, my name is Muir and this is Starsector version 0.95.1 ARC6, and this is the Medley Legion is what we're going to call this, but it's specifically the Medley Legion fleet. So this might be different from the other Medley Legion that I created, probably is, but we've sort of improved this as much as we can to try and maximize it. But alright, so this is the Medley Legion fleet. We are doing fleet videos now under Fleet Command, and in essence what Fleet Command is going to be is just compositions of fleets that tend to work pretty well, so let's talk about it. So the Medley Legion, the Medley Legion, regular not 14th Battle Fleet, it tends to work really well, but we need to specialize things and we need to try and keep our weapon costs down and our dissipation up. So what we have here are 2 Hellbore cannons, we have 5 heavy autocannons, we have a bunch of Vulcan cannons all over it. We have armored weapon mounts so that these are more accurate over range, reinforced bulkheads so that when these get destroyed you can just get them back without spending a story point, integrated targeting unit so everything has extra range, and some heavy armor because this is going to just get battered all the time. Now, following our Medley setup, we have a Warthog Assault Fighter, 2 broadswords, and a Thunder, because we like turning off enemy engines. And so, well, to be able to reach the entire sector and back again, we need a bunch of Prometheuses. We need a ton of them. We need, to get up to speed 20, we need a bunch of tugs, and the rest we can sort of just dedicate into these. So we realistically have 5, 10, 13 legions. And then we have an Afflictor down here. You can make this 14 legions if you want to, but the Afflictor is actually really nice. And that adds just that little bit of being able to increase damage to something by 50% is pretty powerful. So it can be worth it to have this extra Afflictor there. Also, put all your officers on your non-combat ships. What this does is this makes the game think that you have more officers active, and so with how deployment points are calculated, this means that you get more deployment points, which is why remnant fleets tend to completely annihilate new players because they don't actually have their officers assigned to anything. Okay, so let's go ahead and see how this works against a 4-star Remnant Ordo fleet. It has 2 Remnants, it has 2 Radiants, which is actually incredibly dangerous. And let's see, any of these have 5? That one has 5. Let's go fight that one instead. We just need to figure out how to get it to peel off from the stack. Now in dev mode you can zoom out more, you can also do other things like have the game run. And you can have the game run on the overworld map when you're tabbed. But let's go ahead and fight this guy and see how well everything works. So based on danger level, he should just annihilate us. But we're going to throw everything in there. And yeah, we're not going to throw in the Afflictor just yet, but I'm going to hit full assault and then not give any orders, because that is how I sort of that's how I tend to try and run these fleet videos, is we hit full assault and then we don't do anything and just let the ships do their own stuff. So how is this going to work out? Well, the strengths here are that the fighters take care of everything that is small, that is smaller than a cruiser, so destroyers and frigates, as well as fighters, and then the autocannons and the Hellbore should take care of everything that is bigger than a destroyer, so cruisers and battleships, or capital size. These guys will eventually surround and jump something that they run into. We are using, what is it called, like reserve tactics or whatever it's called in leadership. And we are also using derelict operations. to try and just get our costs down as much as possible so we can field more ships. Now, in a way, this is great, as we can watch this guy die to all the fighters. And so now we have this destroyer here, the fighters will take care of him, but he also can't run away from us, and we have lots of guns. What do we have? Big, big guns. And those Hellbore are doing what they do best. Alright, he just barely survived. Looks like this guy is trying to go toe-to-toe with the Legion, and as you can see, enemies are just dropping like flies. This guy is pretty much doomed, most likely. He's gonna die. He has a Radiant on him, and those Radiants are outrageously dangerous. Oh yeah, he's gonna have some problems pretty soon. Ah yeah. But that's okay. That's why we have more Legions. But these guys will eventually kill off enemy ships, and when a ship dies, you just throw out another one and don't worry about it. Alright, so we have him deciding to go toe-to-toe with this. They do have lots and lots of Reapers on that. So they're going to win the fight over here, and then probably swoop around. Alright, there goes another one. Throw in the rest. So we got these two over here who are sort of holding everything at bay. Remember, we are not giving them orders, we're just letting them full assault and do their thing. Looks like part of them are peeling off the slam to these guys' rear flanks. Okay, there goes that glimmer. And he is going after this guy to kill him. Looks like it's almost done. Very nice. Yeah, the nice part about this is if you get into an endurance battle, you don't run out of missiles, so you don't have to worry about that. He's probably in trouble. But it looks like reinforcements are coming in. Cause people some problems. These guys are turning around to slam into their flank. That's good. A lot of these support carriers are coming in to just do what they can. Alright, he's riding in. There he goes. This is a 5-star fleet, so... Ooh, and we have the Afflictor. That's good. If we were actually playing, we would be using the Afflictor to try and maximize what we could, and that is the last of the Legions. Remember, we are not changing anything, we are just going to continue to full assault. That Radiant is doing a ton of work against everything here. But it looks like these Legions are trying to focus on killing some of these enemies. Now the nice part is that there is absolutely no way we should win against this fleet as far as the game's balance is concerned, how it determines threat levels. There's no way we should win. We should guaranteedly lose. Here he goes, slamming into their side. That's good. That's going to give them a chance to go in here and do some work, but it's probably going to get him killed. That's fine. He's up against 2 Brilliance and a Scintilla, or Scintilla, however you want to pronounce it. So that's probably going to hurt. He's going to go down for sure. They're probably going to rip this guy apart. Looks like this whole point here for the enemy has collapsed. Now what they need to do is they need to kill this Radiant before the other Radiant shows up. Because once the other Radiant shows up, it's going to start murking people. But there we go. The other Radiant is coming in, so they're going to have some problems. This guy is probably going to go down pretty soon. But much of the enemy force is highly reduced at this point. So they are focusing down that Radiant, so he's probably going to die relatively soon. Once the Radiants are dead, like, this fight is decided. If they can kill this Radiant, which hopefully they can, then the battle will pretty much be over for the most part. But this other Radiant brings a lot of firepower. So what needs to happen is these guys need to, like, full burn over here so they can kill him. But with that, the battle's most likely over. So they will hopefully turn and start focusing on this guy. It looks like that is what is happening. And they will probably rip him apart relatively quickly, especially if there's a lot of corpses in the way that can help him. But it looks like they are choosing to take down this guy on this flank, which is fine, that works. Remember, we are not giving any orders. This is a 5-star fleet. We want this fleet to do this on its own, if at all possible. Looks like this Radiant is taking quite the beating, and it will most likely go down relatively quickly. Especially with all those Hellbore cannons, all of those heavy auto cannons pounding on it, and all the fighters just pounding on it as well, and the Thunder's taking down its engines on a fairly regular basis. There isn't much that it can really do aside from just stand there. And that's it. Like, this battle is completely over at this point. We didn't do anything aside from hit full assault and send more ships in. So, yeah, these are pretty dangerous. Now, would the 14th Battle Fleet work better? Probably. But the 14th Battle Fleet is more of like the apex of where you can go, and these are more of like tier 3.5. So, in the fleet commands, there's 4 tiers. Then you have sub-tiers, I suppose, if you really care about that. You have tier 1, 2, 3, 4. Tier 1 is the early game, tier 2 is mid-game, tier 3 is early-late game, and tier 3 is late game, and then tier 4 is like everything. So essentially it's Apex, if you like that. So this fleet is probably tier 3.5. It is as dangerous as you can get. Because you can't spam out 14th Battle Fleet ships without either a mod or something like that. But once you have them, like, things tend to move pretty quickly. But alright. This super death fleet that, according to the game, should have just destroyed us with no problem. We lost 5 ships. And just rebuilt them. Oh well. So sad. So, what are we looking at? So common. Common, less common. You have to find this one. You don't have it from the start, but I think everything else you do or can find it extremely easily. These are all common. If you don't have this, you can use the dedicated targeting core, which I believe is actually available from the start of the game. So as soon as you can get the blueprint for a normal Legion, you can probably make most, if not all, of these weapons, or find them incredibly easily. But alright, let's go do another test. What is it? Repair? Repair ships. Alright, fine. We'll just teleport. So if you're in command, if you're in dev mode, you can just teleport places. So, the nice part about this is your range with how this is set up. So you have, infinite range in every direction. Not infinite, but you can get everywhere and back again. Now, what about this hyper shunt? Let's go fight them instead. Let's explore it and let's see how they do. So I'm going to, just a warning before we show the enemy ships. If you have not fought the super endgame ships yet, generally known as super redacted, then you should probably stop watching. Alright, with that said, let's go ahead and get into it. So you should stop watching, and so we're going to start playing, so spoilers, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and let's go. Alright, As always, we're going to full assault, and we're going to hope for the best. Now, these guys, yeah, the Afflictors don't actually do too well with full assault. They tend to just die. So, yeah, whatever. Let's just let them do their thing. He has super long range weapons, but he's going to, like, close in with the enemy for some reason. I don't really know why. I think they're still using, like, old AI that tells them to close in. And so then this happens and they just die. Anyway, the majority of the fleet is over here attacking this guy, as this Afflictor keeps him busy for, slightly longer. This Legion's stepping up. He thinks he can do this on his own. He's got this. Alright. Legions are within range. They're going to pound on this guy until he dies, most likely. Alright. He is starting to lose his armor. Good. He is getting pounded by everyone. If he loses his engines to the Thunders, then he'll most assuredly die, but I think they're going to pound him to death pretty soon. There he goes. There goes a Legion as well. Let's go ahead and grab it. Let's go ahead and throw another one in there. Now he's going to turn into 2 ships with a bunch of fighters. The nice part is that since this uses a lot of just guns, and those guns can all hit the fighters, this could be over pretty quickly. As you can see, he can just dump damage into people and overwhelm shields. These enemy Tesseracts, as they're called, are essentially just Alpha Strike monsters. They can come in, they can dump a ton of damage into something, and really not suffer any consequences from doing so. So, yeah, they tend to work incredibly well, and they're smart enough to focus on one ship at a time. So that Legion's going to go down, most likely. And there he goes. Let's throw in the other. Alright, they took out that shard, they took out a dextral shard, so very soon this is going to turn into there's just him against all the Legions, and a bunch of fighters. And he's going to go down relatively soon. That is... okay, that fast set goes down. That turns into fighters and a dextral shard, I think. Yeah, 2 dextral shards. Well, sinstrels. But those are probably going to die relatively quickly as well. Okay, but he's still holding his own pretty well. He's able to keep these Legions at or near like their maximum flux, which helps them greatly. These haven't taken any major damage yet, but they aren't able to make any headway on the Legions, really. Bad for them. But they are quick enough to avoid really taking a huge amount of damage most of the time. And he's really low on health, so he just got absolutely jacked. He might have gotten overfluxed, he might have gotten overloaded, but that also means that the Legion he was focusing on, which looks like to be this one, was able to survive. Just long enough. As you can see, he pretty much almost overloaded this guy, but there's just so much firepower coming his direction that, yeah, he just can't really do much. So, are they making any headway here? No, they're too fast. So we have this. Yeah, defense fast set. We have a Sinstrel and another Sinstrel. So the defense fast set will turn into 1 or 2 fast Sinstrels. Let's see, how's it going here? So he's taking some damage. What's really going on here is these fighters are killing all of the Legion's fighters. So the Legions aren't able to swarm these guys with its own fighters, because it would normally look like this, and there just wouldn't be much that these could do about that. You can see everything is still nice and green over here for these Legions. So without their larger without the Tesseracts there to really kill stuff, the Legions will more or less out survive. They'll just be able to outgun these guys. So that's going to turn it into a bunch of fighters. Yep. And these are slowly taking damage. Now, every now and again they take some burst damage, and then things don't go well for them. But yeah, remember, we have just put on full assault. We have not given any orders whatsoever beyond that. And so those are dead. Feel free to use story points on ships. If the ships get destroyed, you'll gain additional experience to get those story points back. So you should use story points on your ships. You can sell them. If you sell them or you scuttle them, you'll get those story points back. I think it's if you scuttle them, you'll get them back. Okay, so those two dextrals, those two Sinstral shards over here are dead. This big fighter battle going on here, it's also waging over here. And we're just seeing them slowly kill these fighters off. Fighters either take a Hellbore cannon, or they take a lot of autocannon and Vulcan cannon, and eventually they die off. Those don't have a prayer at actually killing these capitals. Now, the facet could do damage, but generally it's not going to be enough to kill a capital. So unless one of these gets like isolated and then all the fighters are just pounding on them, that's the only time they're really going to kill a capital here. Rest of the time, it's not really going to happen. So, as soon as those two Tesseracts were dead, this battle was pretty much over. Especially since these guys don't run out of missiles. Alright, so, the Beset is dead. He's going to turn into probably, yeah, two Sinstral shards and some fighters. That sounds good. Alright, so those aren't going to be able to do much. This guy's kind of isolated, but not enough for it to matter. Because of all the point defense and the fact that he just has lots and lots of weapons. All his fighters are coming in to escort him, so they're going to eventually clear the Omega fighters. I mean, just to point it out, that was 2 Omega ships. Just wait until there's like 6 or 10. Something like that. Who knows what the end-to-end game of Starsector holds when it actually gets finished and implemented. Alright, so they lost both those Sinstral shards at the same time. Those are just going to turn into fighters. And at this point, we could just tell them to full assault. They'll kill everything. They're chasing these fighters down and trying to kill them all. And yeah, this battle is done. The battle is over. Now normally you would be piloting the Afflictor and you would be trying, or you'd have a timid officer on the Afflictor or something like that, and you would try to just keep it alive as long as possible and have it hide within your carrier battle group. Just so it can't be attacked directly and can debuff enemy Tesseracts when those show up. There goes that one. There are 4 or so enemies left. And now all the thunders from each one of these legions are coming in, just wipe them out. And the legions themselves are coming in, just deal as much damage as they can. They took out 2 of the enemy fighters right there. And that's that. All the Omega units are dead. Get those back. And there we go, you can get some of their overpowered Omega weapons. I don't recommend you look at using those Omega weapons as fractal ship works. I don't recommend that you think about those Omega weapons as something that's guaranteed or that you should build a fleet around. To my knowledge, there's some of them in the storyline spoiler ship system that you can find out in deep space. There are some of them can get some of them from defeating that army, those two shards there, and he can get some of them from defeating a super bounty, a redacted super bounty that has a super redacted ship in it. But yeah, these work amazingly well. Go ahead and go back to Dark Side 1, I guess. Deep Space 1. Dead Space 1. And yeah. So, this is the fleet. It can pretty much take on anything in the game. It uses mostly early game weapons, but I think you have like Hellbore cannons just unlocked from the get-go, and the heavy autocannons are so common. Heavy autocannons and the Vulcan cannons, essentially just extremely common weapons that you can find at any time. So there's no reason that you can't fully kit these things out ASAP. Spend your story points on them to make them as powerful as possible. And that's about it. We can sell the really jacked up ones for, we are using deployment tactics. So for this build to really work, you want support doctrine, and you want, because this reduces the cost to field these units, and you want derelict operations, which further reduces the cost to field them. So you can field a ton of them, so they can mass out fighters to overwhelm the enemy and hit that critical mass of fighters that's needed. Beyond that, yeah, just you'll need most of these. I think you can get away with not having some of those. Yeah, I don't think you need those two. So you can spend those points elsewhere if you wanted to. Having those two, I suppose. But if we go with this, it's gonna just select one of those. Anyway, that's just how it goes. Alright guys, my name is Muir. This has been Starsector version 0.95.1 ARC6. Go ahead and let me know what you think about it in the comments below. And go ahead, like, comment, subscribe, ring that bell, and just share the video with whoever you think would like it, and I will catch you guys next time. Bye everyone.